Big budget Eddie.
Big budget Eddie. Eddie.
I'll never forget that.
We're going to talk about that.
Eddie, I want to talk to you.
We're going to talk about Eddie. Let's see.
What's coming to me? Ah.
All right. We in a special day, a special time. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. You know, at first we were like, well, we're not going to do this week because, you know, my co-host over there is booked and busy. Then I had, we changed it to late night, but should have known he's booked and busy on the late night. But we were like, okay, you want to just do it now? Let's just do it. And here we are, because we know Basine, our number one fan, is like, where is it? She even gave us an acronym. She was like, MT. And I was like, at first I was like, what's that? She's like, your show. I said, girl, you done gave us an acronym and everything. And she's waiting for it. So we definitely had to do it.
Yeah, we appreciate her so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shout out, Bae. Shout out to you for always riding for More Than Just a Movie. All right, so this is a show where we break down classic Black films. Some of the films you might say aren't classic, but they are classic to us. They have memorable lines. And if you haven't seen these movies, spoiler alert, we will talk about the movies. That's how we do. We add it, in with regular life. We talk about the movie, then we talk about how it affects life, and then we have a conversation about it. If you don't believe me, like they say, just watch. We got episodes after episodes after episodes up on YouTube. So do us a favor and subscribe and go to the playlist More Than Just a Movie. And I guarantee you some of your favorite movies are going to be right there. Without further ado, before I introduce our movie today, as you can see behind Leroy, I want to welcome my co-host, Leroy Mckenzie Jr. You got a jersey on, so I got to do it like that.
It's football night in America, baby. Football night in America. Even though I can't stand neither one of the teams.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to come to you quickly today. Why? Because Leroy got something else to do. He is booked, but that's all right. We are talking about, the month of September is Eddie Murphy month, right? Eddie Murphy, y'all already know, box office phenomenon, has been for years. He's not new to this. He is true to this. Before there was a Will Smith breaking box office, there was Eddie Murphy. And if you ask your favorite comedian who their favorite comedian is, they're going to say Eddie Murphy. They'll say Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, but the young ones, Eddie Murphy all the way, even, with the gloves cut out. We're going to talk about that on Delirious and Raw Day. But the cutout gloves and all, the laugh, the nose, everything. Eddie to the Murphy. All right. So this being Eddie Murphy month, we did Norbit, light last week, and we talked about Norbit, but we wanted to, Leroy was like, let's talk about something serious. And he brought up Dreamgirls. And Dreamgirls, Eddie Murphy played, I'm going to say it, the hell out of James Thunder Early. And we wanted to acknowledge that he was even nominated for an Oscar. He did a phenomenal job. All right, so those that are young or been hiding under a rock, Dreamgirls originally came to Broadway December 20th, 1981. It was a spin-off of like the Supremes and the Shirelles, and they kind of wrapped it together. It starred Cheryl Lee Ralph, Loretta Devine, and Jennifer Holliday, and that was on Broadway. It crushed it on Broadway. It made so many reappearances, and it broke box office, and everybody who was anybody went to Broadway to see Dreamgirls. It had been workshopping for many, many years before it became a quote unquote thing, but it killed. So Christmas 2006, they brought it to the movie theater, right? And had an all-star cast: Beyonce, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Hudson, Anika Noni Rose, Danny Glover, Keith Robinson, and Eddie Murphy. The budget was $80 million. It made $155.4 million at the box office. Now, again, Eddie Murphy played James Jimmy Thunder Early, and his character was inspired by James Brown, Jackie Wilson, and Marvin Gaye. Now, researching for this show, I was looking like who played the original James Early, and they kept saying Eddie Murphy. So I think this was written in to give it to Eddie Murphy because it wasn't in the original. Yeah. And because I was like, was it Babatunde? You know, that actor, because he was in the Dreamgirls, and you know, he always pops up. But they gave this to Jimmy. All right, so Leroy, when you talked about doing Dreamgirls and Jimmy, and it was a no-brainer, tell me what you thought about that character.
Well,
Jimmy got soul.
Exactly. And it just personified to me the talent that is Eddie Murphy, because honestly, like you just said, you did the research to see if there was somebody that played Jimmy before him. There's a reason probably why that nobody played Jimmy before him, because it could only have been Eddie Murphy to play Jimmy.
You ain't lying, because people sleep on Eddie Murphy when it comes to serious.
Right.
But let me tell you something. A lot of people may have not seen it, but I seen Mr. Church years ago. Mr. Church.
I've never watched it. I've seen it.
Let me tell you something. I saw it years ago, probably like late at night. I was sitting in the bed by myself and I could not keep it together. I was crying away.
Really?
He was amazing. The story was good. At first I was like, okay, the black man got to come save it, and he's with a white family, and you know, that whole stereotype. Nope. It was he did an amazing job. And I want to acknowledge that movie, and I want to acknowledge when he played Dolomite. Oh my God. He was really phenomenal in that movie. So when you think about Eddie Murphy, Dolomite was Dolomite. That's how good Eddie Murphy was. He was so good in that. So when you think about Eddie, and he made his fame and a bulk of his money by being a comedian, he's an excellent actor. Absolutely. And as you all know, he also is a party all the time singer.
No, he needed to leave the singing alone. He definitely needed to leave the singing alone. So,
but that was a jam, though. I remember Rick
that song
in that video.
Yeah, that definitely was. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Rick James write that song?
Yeah,
for him.
Yep, and he was in the video and everything.
Right.
And people were laughing at the video.
Right.
And because they thought that it was supposed to be funny because he was a comedian. But he said he loved to sing before that.
Right.
Before that. So when you think about him, and I left my iPad, but I have my phone, and I want to do for people who have not seen, and he got a chance to sing. And his character was complex. He had two women. In this scene, he's singing to two women. And they don't know about each other until they see him looking
at
each other. And I can't play it all because of copyright. That's his wife. And that's his mistress.
Yeah.
So the wife is like, who are you singing to?
Right.
Look. Look. Now, Now listen.
I can't sing no more sad songs. Hey, Curtis, this is supposed to be your night, right? Let's have some happy time. Right, I'm gonna give you a count off. Let's y'all come in when I tell you, right?
What the hell's he doing?
1, 2, 3, hit me.
And he's actually singing.
Yeah, that's it. That was, I believe it sounded just like, I mean, that was Eddie Murphy singing for real.
Mhm. Now, because of copyright, I can't play the whole song. They'll mute it, but that's Jimmy Got Soul, and then at the end he dropped his pants. So, but Jimmy's character was complex, and it was like Ray Charles the movie. And if you think about all the people back then, they had their wife and they had their side piece, and both knew about each other. So you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, have you noticed in the musical movies that are done, whether it was Pac, the Pac, All Eyes on Me, Notorious, Ray, the Five Heartbeats, the new edition, your favorite, the New Edition story. All of them, the storyline is always the men on the road. They get involved with someone that's either a part of the band or just, kind of in some kind of way.
Yeah, Temptation story.
Temptations too.
Five Heartbeats.
Right. It just seems to be a resounding theme.
Easy access
to them. Right. Yeah. And I guess that's a part of the entertainment and music industry. I guess when you're in those kind of positions and you're lifted up that kind of way, you get what Chris Rock say, you're only as loyal as your options are. You have a lot more options when you're that popular, or you have that kind of prestige and everything like that. It's sad, but but that comes with it. And unfortunately too, most of the time drugs was a part of it too. Drugs and women.
Yeah.
Drugs and
women. And I want to say this because it came to my memory and I was like, I gotta find it. So Jimmy Early was in Broadway, and it was Cleavon, and his face if you see him, Cleavon Derrick. His face. Look him up. He has a Jerry curl. He had a Jerry curl since I was young. And he's been in shows, but he won in 1982. He won a Tony Award for supporting or featured actors in the musical Dreamgirls. His role was soul singer James Early, Thunder Early. But who sticks out is Eddie Murphy. Think about it. He really did that. And as we talked about Norbit last week, he was up for an Oscar for this, but because he did Norbit, they say, the industry says, and they said that ruined his chances of getting an Oscar, Norbit. And to me, that's so unfair because one, it's showing versatility. Yeah. It's showing one movie has nothing to do with the other. So I think that was kind of unfair.
Yeah, it was, but also think about, I guess like you said, you think about the time and what was going on and everything like that. I don't understand how Norbit would hurt his Academy Award nomination because he was diverse. Now I could understand if it was something, I don't know if you remember, but Michael Jackson, when Invincible came out, it was during the time that he was in that trial for the young boy. People have slept on Invincible because it is a great project from Michael, but it got buried under all of the other stuff that was going on with the court case and everything like that. And maybe it's the same kind of thing where Norbit, you got this, this kind of comedic Eddie Murphy, and they're trying to give him this Academy Award, for playing in Dreamgirls. They just, how it can be, it can be tricky the way that those folks look at those who are doing the selecting.
But what I thought of, and I don't like mentioning his name at all because I'm muting. But when Trapped in the Closet, I'm not saying his name, but when Trapped in the Closet came out, and all those allegations and everything was out, nobody muted him. It was trapped in the closet was, did you see the first part? Did you see the second part? Did you see the 28th part? Did you see the 30th part? And I find that very interesting that when anybody else had something going on, you know, it was muted. But when he should have been muted for all the sick stuff he did, people were still riding for him.
Yeah. Even now, people
they ain't riding no more. They off that train.
Really?
For some people. I can't even, sadly, I can't say all. But so let's see. So originally, Jamie Foxx turned the film down because the salary was insufficient.
Really?
But he changed his mind when he saw that Eddie Murphy and Beyonce were attached.
That might change your mind a little bit.
That might change your mind. I think even if Beyonce wasn't, if Eddie Murphy was there,
just Eddie Murphy alone,
he would have done that.
Yeah.
So when I think about Jimmy Early, I think about complicated. And they show how he started and then how he got Dreamgirls to sing backup for him. And then they went on their own. Then, of course, that's when he fell in love with Anika Noni Rose, and he was still married. And it showed. And this is what happens a lot of times. They will be the side piece for like 20 and 30 years.
Yep.
And both know. And it's never it's a hope that they leave their wives, but in reality, they know that they're not leaving their wives. And he promised without promising that he was dedicated and committed to her, but he still never let go of the wife, to the point where he died in the movie, and the wife knew that she was a mistress for 20 some years, wouldn't let her see Jimmy. Now, that happens a lot of times when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to funeral planning, when it comes to visiting. You know, you can say all day long, I've been with this person for X amount of years, but if you don't have no legal document, and the wife pulled the biggest trump card she could, saying you cannot see him.
Yep. And she has every right to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's sad that that does happen. Again, the same thing happened with Ray Charles.
Yeah.
The only thing that Kerry Washington's character, what do you call it? Oh, is Bird? Was it Bird or Butterfly? Something like that. I can't remember. But she told him, she said, you know, I know you're a musician and everything, but just don't bring the road into my home. And even Regina King's character was like, but on the road, I'm Miss Ray Charles.
Ain't that something? Because it's almost like that's the same as, it ain't no different from Ray Charles and James Early than Mr. Gerald in the hood. They got the other family around the corner or the other family across town. You know about it, but that's just how Uncle Gerald is, or that's just how, and it happens. Same thing, something pop off. You know, they even bring people bold enough to bring the side piece to the cookout.
Yeah. How about that?
And the whole family like, hey, Miss Sheila.
Yeah.
And knowing that his wife is Betty and she at home. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. People are complicit with that kind of thing all the time. Hey, Miss Sheila, you made the potato salad, knowing that ain't Jimmy's wife. The wife is Betty at home. And he told Betty, this, you're going to sit this one out. And Betty knows that he's bringing the side piece, Miss Sheila, to the cookout.
Yeah. And that's just the sad part about that. And I guess when you think about this time frame with Dreamgirls, this is supposed to be, I think, back in this was the 50s. I think that's supposed to have taken place and everything like that, where you had that mindset that it was acceptable by women because they felt like they didn't have a choice. It was the only way I was going to be taken care of, so to speak, by them, because women weren't allowed to have an education. Women weren't allowed to have a voice. So as a consequence, they didn't have an alternative but to accept it. Now this was a little different.
Yeah.
Jimmy had good money. I'm sure his wife, she might have stayed just because, but Anika Rose's character,
Laurel.
Laurel, she had an option because she was with, with the female group that, that was taken off and took off on their own and were doing well,
But it happens all the time where you got the older singer and the young girl, because remember it was in the 60s and 70s, and they were young, because remember when they talked about their ages, so they were young. And it happens like the guy that we was talking about, trapped in the closet guy, and I won't even say his name. Oh, like Elvis Presley, like Jerry Lee Lewis, like Chuck Berry, like all of them stars see these little young girls and they older men, and it's acceptable. And even when it came out with Trapped in the Closet with the guy, y'all know the guy, I ain't even saying his name. A lot of people were complicit because that was normal in the music industry. To see the little young girl that you like, and you older guy married and settled, and now this young girl is all whimsical and all into you, and you promise her these things, and then 20 years later, she's still single and she's still pining over you.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think that has been a revisiting of that mindset and culture nowadays because of, and I'm not going to say their name either, when you listen to certain want to be called themselves influencers and everything like that, they when they talk about relationships, they talk about like you said, the older man and the younger woman. I'm talking, dudes that gotta be, you ain't making over six figures and under 40 if unless you are.
Well, look at like Diddy was just seen he was seen with somebody else this week. Bow Wow's baby mother.
I didn't read it.
But 2 weeks ago, a little over, he was with one of the city girls, which they're young girls, and he's within his 50s. Now they're grown, but it still is always quote unquote normal or okay for some of society. Whereas if it's the other way around, it has to be known. They're a cougar. He's so young. You know what I'm saying? It's made to be a big deal. And then even if it's wrong or not, it's not really polarized when it's the opposite.
No, right, absolutely, and part of that happens even with, like you said, with Jimmy and with Pharrell, because like you said, she was very young, but she was able. He knew that he could manipulate her. He wasn't going to manipulate. He wasn't going to. Well, I don't think Adina was interested in him. And Effie's, I don't think would have accepted. I don't think Effie was his type too either. But those two, I think, were more mature than Laurel. So he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to manipulate.
Because even though you're right, because she was kind of like I don't want to say ditzy, but more naive.
Just young,
naive one.
Right. Right.
And they were like Laurel, and she had the little bubbly giggle and the voice and all of that. I want to show this.
Giving her attention.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Because thinking like, okay, Beyonce, she's the star, right? Dina's the star. Then you got the powerhouse Jennifer, who plays Effie. But then you got almost like, I don't want to say this, and I don't even know if I want to say this because I don't want to diss her. So, because people do it all the time, and please, this is not a diss. I'm talking about what people think. So when you have Destiny's Child, Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. And Michelle always gets a bad rap in her personality and her voice. She has an amazing spirit and personality. So I'm not dissing her by any means, but it's almost like I'm gonna get the Michelle because it's not the extra superstar, and she's gonna be able to take whatever I get. Whereas the Beyonce in both scenes are like, I'm not having that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's almost like, are you preying on
They are.
That
No, they are.
the
It is
naivete of it all, like
Yep.
we're gonna pick which one, who's gonna go for it, and who's gonna be like, boy, get out my face.
but that's what manipulators do. They actually study. Folks can not believe it or whatever, but they study folks. They pay attention. Okay, I see how this one operates. I see how that one operates. I know I can't use that, certain mind tricks on this one. I see that, like we said,
Gaslighting ain't gonna work here.
Not even gaslighting, right? Gaslighting, but also he saw that, Laurel probably wasn't used to getting attention.
That's what I mean. Like, cause she wasn't the star and then the super vocalist.
Right.
Like she wasn't quote unquote the pretty one and the powerhouse singer.
She was the one in those, and you may be able to understand this. She was the one in those three member groups, like the Isley brothers or the OJs.
That the one person don't get to shine.
The third one, you usually didn't know. You knew the first two. But the third was like, oh, what was their name? Oh, what was their name? Oh man, I remember. Just
like the group emotion, you made me think of because Unsung is like one of my favorite shows. Okay. I love autobiographies and all of that. Right. You know that. We talked about that. But it was 1 year ago with the emotions, whoa, whoa, got the best of my love, whoa, whoa. And the third one, they were interchanging, like from sister to sister to one sister up. And one of the commentators said, and I can't think of their name. So, I can't even think. If you got Wanda's one, and I can't think of the other one, and you got such and such, that's all you need. And he said, I'm not trying to be funny, but the third one, like you said, it doesn't matter as long as you got the two voices that we know. It's true.
But think about it. Think about the the different groups.
Or one of them, I don't know.
Yeah, think about the groups. Even New Edition.
We know them all.
We know them all, but they were at the beginning. They want the what's his name? Maurice Starr was like, look, Ralph. Without you, Ralph, there is no group.
Yeah.
And telling them, look, as long as we got you, you can. The other ones will, they can just come along. They did it with James Brown. James Brown. So Laurel was the one that.
Think about the group High Five. Tony Absolutely. Thompson. Yep. Even though the other one's saying, I guarantee you can't think of somebody's name right now.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
you go to H-Town. You go to
Silk.
Next.
Silk was the same. All of those groups.
You could probably name more than one, but the one that's least known.
Yep.
Some of them, somebody gonna be like, yes, I can. They did it, and I know, but the average person, I know their names too, just because I love music.
Remember two of them. You definitely know one.
RL.
Yeah.
From Next.
Exactly. So yeah, and Laurel was that one that Jimmy saw, and she was the character here, of course, Nikki Noni Rose is beautiful, but Jimmy was like, yeah, she's attractive. I can, she's young.
I can mold her and control her.
Absolutely. And you got it.
Mold right and control. Yep. We need to do a clubhouse talking about that.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm definitely with that, because that, like I said, that needs to stop.
Those manipulation and those mind games on a young girl.
Or what these folks are playing out here, and unfortunately, the women are falling right into it, or the young girls are falling right into it.
It's happening in real life, and I'm not going to disclose a lot of things, but a young girl that I know is a young girl. She's in her early 20s, like 21. Mm-hmm. A guy tried to date her. He lied and said he was 28. She dated him. She spent time with him, all of the stuff in a relationship. And now he lied. He's 35. That's that same manipulation. That's that same mind game. That's that same playing. It's the same thing. And then you don't, because you know that it's slimy, if we really knew you were 35. You preying on a 21-year-old. You get what I'm saying? So now you're going to pretend that you're in your 20s too. That's something wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any kind of manipulation like that, is not to be messed with. I don't care if it's one way or the other. Even if she would have lied and said she was 25 and he's 35.
That's a problem.
Even that's a problem.
Yeah.
Folks got to understand, that you got to be upright with it, even not just with age, but all the other stuff that we know that folks lie about when it comes to relationships and stuff too. So,
I know I'm going to play a scene because I know you got to get ready to go. Let me tell you, this soundtrack is my soundtrack. I love it.
Yeah, it was a great soundtrack.
That's good. We want to surprise you, Curtis. That's why we went ahead and recorded it first. That's exactly what I need right now, Curtis. It's what you've been always talking about. We have a new sound. Still, it's a message song.
It tells the truth. People are angry out there. I'm angry. My brother's over in Vietnam fighting in a pointless war, and I'm angry about it.
That's right, Curtis. Isn't music supposed to express what people are feeling? Music is supposed to sell. Don't worry about it, Joe. We'll find you some material. Right. Dina, I want you to meet this guy. And about the shirt. She's losing. It's messing up your image.
So sorry, Jim.
Dana.
Oh, honey, you don't need to be doing that stuff right now.
Now, if this ain't real with all the people, now, if that ain't real, and I want to end with that because I talked about it on my podcast yesterday, but, Michael K. Williams passed away.
Yes.
And another comedian passed away. It was like 4 people that passed away.
Right.
And then Keisha Cole's mom had a drug overdose. And they're talking about the fentanyl. Yeah, and she died. They're talking about the fentanyl that they're lacing weed with and lacing cocaine with and all of that. So to be on drugs, most people are trying to escape something, as Jimmy Early was, trying to escape the has been and I ain't had a hit and I'm nothing type thing. And everybody else, with Black people, I just really want to address that with the traumas that, we go through and the pain that we're trying to stuff down and using drugs to kind of escape a lot of things. Not all people, but in many cases.
Yeah.
And we see it in this movie. And then Jimmy dies of a drug overdose. Yep. The same way, and I just want us to be better and do better. And I want us to all heal. And I'm on this healing mission and journey to help heal people, help heal myself. I even want to open up a center to really heal those trigger points before you do pick up the drug or before you do anything. I just really want that. So even with this movie, he has a drug overdose. And then we talked about what happens where she can't see him and he's passed away and they've been lovers for many, many years. And that's that. So a lot of talented people, Jimmy Early is fictional, but a lot of talented people are amazing. And a lot of our Black men and women are checking out earlier than their time. Only God knows the time, but earlier because of drug overdoses. And we don't get to see, what they can do next. So I just want everybody, if you do have a drug issue or problem, definitely get help, seek help, speak to someone within this body. I'll make sure I put that hotline there, but seek help. Les Brown says we ask for help, not because we're weak, but because we want to remain strong. So I didn't mean to get all serious on it, but
No, but
yeah.
that's a great thing to talk about, especially with, like you said, with Michael K. Williams, with him passing away, because unfortunately, those who are like Jimmy, who are in entertainment and music,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, we talk about Whitney and that sad, that
Yeah.
tragic
Yep.
story about her, and not just her, but her daughter.
Whitney, Bobby, Christina. We talk about Prince. He was addicted to painkillers. You know, with Michael Jackson.
Even with Michael, right? It's just that list goes on and
On and on and on and on.
on. And even in the movies that we talked about,
Yeah.
the common thread through all of them was drugs and women.
Yep. Yep.
Drugs and women.
Yep. Yeah, they say that music, that's why, you know, a lot of church folks like that. Don't mess around with that. It's demonic. You know, you got the worldly stuff and all the spirits and all of that. And a lot is there. You know, you got people turning people out. You got drugs. You got violence. You got women. You got womenizing. You got adultery. You know, it's a lot going on in that entertainment world.
And I mean, and it's not even in just in the entertainment world.
In real life.
In real life. And
and
I was telling my buddy, real quick, I was telling my buddy the other day, I said, I thank God that was never one of the issues that I had in my life.
Me either.
Never smoked, never drank. And
the
thing was, never had a desire to. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that I even thought about doing. It was like, that was never a thought of mine doing it. And I had friends that did it, was around them, when they did it, but it was never a thought for me. I was like, that was just, so I was like, because that's an 800-pound gorilla that you never want to have to get off your back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we know that Michael K. Williams, that was something that he had fought for. He had been fighting for a long
and everybody talked about how he was a beautiful spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what everyone has said about him. Everyone has said about him. So yeah, I mean, and we talked about, the tragic story of Jimmy Early, same result.
Mm-hmm. And that's trying to search for that high. Because sometimes that entertainment is the high.
Yeah.
And they're fine as long as they're looking. Ricky Bell from New Edition, BBD, RBRM. Absolutely. He was addicted to being in New Edition and singing and being on the stage. Right. And when he wasn't, he didn't know how to cope and deal, because that was his high. Even though I think he was dibbling and dabbling before, but he really, once he could not be on stage, once the group split for a moment, that's when he went into a tailspin and almost died. Yep. Because he was on drugs, because he was trying to fill that.
Yeah. And I always remember that scene where he has the conversation with his wife, and she was like, you Ricky Bell, you kind of do it. And he's like, no, all I know is New Edition. All I know is what I do here.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
My boy DMX.
Absolutely.
Just passed away, drug overdose. When you think about that, I mean, you have black stars, you have white stars, like I said, Prince, a slew of white stars. You had ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, he did, Jimi Hendrix. Yep. We can go on and on.
Back.
The Chris from Criss Cross, one of them, the brown skinned one. We're told that's what happened with them. Wow. And of course, we don't make the news. We're just talking about things that are common knowledge, but so many. Right. We would literally have to do 2 shows to talk about how many people have passed away due to drug overdoses. So, but Eddie Murphy, this is Eddie Murphy month, the month of September. He played the heck out of that character to the point where you thought he was Jimmy Early. Yep. From his dialect to his clothes, to his mannerisms, to how he enunciated the words, just everything. He was phenomenal in this movie. So we want to celebrate Eddie Murphy this month and shout him out for being versatile, or some people say versatile. Anything you want to say, because I know you got to go before you end.
No, I think that this, like we're trying to do, is just encapsulate the talent that is Eddie Murphy, from, like you said, from Norbit to playing Jimmy Early, and then what we'll cover the next couple of weeks with the comedic icon that is Eddie Murphy and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's great to talk about individuals like him that we see, that have become these great individuals, and that just we honor and we respect so much for what they've given to the culture, what they've given to us, and everything like that. So that's all I still have to say about that.
Absolutely, I couldn't have said it better. You got to tell the people, give some instructions. One last thing.
Absolutely. Y'all need to like, subscribe, comment, and you better share. I'm sorry. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Don't be stingy. Don't be stingy with it. Share.
Don't be stingy.
Don't be stingy.
Spread the love.
Spread the love.
Of More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. The last 3 months we have been putting a spotlight on 3 amazing filmmakers / Eddie Murphy actors. He's not in the filmmaking industry, but he has put a stamp, a creative stamp on movie making, and he was one of the first to do it in this new wave of comedians. So we wanted to definitely give him his flowers there, even if he don't ever see it. One day, he got 10 kids. One of them 10 kids I stumble upon More Than Just a Movie. 10 of them. And then, he got the little ones and he got the older ones. So somebody, I'm a hashtag Eddie Murphy. Somebody, some of them children, they're going to see More Than Just a Movie. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. Today, we talked about Dreamgirls. But really, we talked about Eddie Murphy's role in Dreamgirls. Jimmy, Thunder Early. If you haven't seen Dreamgirls, it's long and it's good, and you need to watch it. Do yourself a favor over the weekend. Check out Dreamgirls. I got the DVD. I got to find it. It's probably somewhere on one of the channels as well. So do yourself a favor and see that. Until next time, God bless y'all. Peace. Thank you for watching.
See y'all next week.